Cruz, and I just heard a big loud bang. It was really a lot to take in, I can't lie.
Hysterical because nobody knows where they're at.
Confusion and panic after an Oak Cliff apartment building explodes. 3 people are confirmed dead, and a search is underway for residents unaccounted for.
The scene, but more importantly, a lot of people impacted. Residents impacted, families impacted, be it by just damage alone, the emotional trauma, people being injured, and people losing their lives.
Here's a live look at the apartment building where crews are still searching the rubble. The latest on what may have caused the explosion in Dallas, and more reaction from the people who witnessed it.
Here for you and all North Texas, Fox 4 News starts right now with breaking news.
3 bodies have been recovered, and the search for more victims is still underway after a gas explosion at a Dallas apartment building. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes.
And I'm Casey Stiegel. It's 9 o'clock. As new information comes in, we're also getting brand new video that shows the chaotic aftermath of that explosion. Watch.
Are the other apartments okay where we live?
I don't know because they're connected.
We need to go to everybody to get out.
Oh my goodness, you see a secondary explosion there as crews were first arriving on the scene in Oak Cliff.
So here is the latest from a news conference that took place within the last hour. Firefighters recovered the bodies of 2 females and 1 child of unknown gender. The number of people hospitalized has gone up as well. 3 people were transported by ambulance to the hospital and 2 people self-transported. 1 patient is in critical condition. The rest are expected to be okay. Officials say the explosion happened shortly before 1 p.m. when a construction crew struck a gas line. Firefighters were responding when the building exploded. At tonight's news conference, a Dallas Fire Rescue spokesperson was emotional, talking about the department's response.
You can just see by the result of what we all saw when we pulled up on the scene. To see a building completely destroyed like that, there are a number of things that come to mind. And one of the things you have to consider that we as first responders, that there are a number of things that we are before we are first responders. And that is... Excuse me. And that, we're parents. And with school being let out and the possibilities regarding who might be in those apartments, they really weigh on our heart. And when these first responders have to dig through that debris and they find some of the things they find, it's extremely traumatic. That's why we have our support personnel, our peer support, our chaplains, resiliency coordinators out here to make sure that everybody is not only okay physically, but emotionally and mentally.
Now a live look from Sky 4, where recovery operations are still underway after nightfall. Crews have also brought in an excavator so firefighters can get to part of the building they are currently blocked from. In areas that they can access, those firefighters are using hand tools as they search for people's loved ones. Officials have not shared a number of people who are still missing, but tonight they said they may very well find more victims. Fox 4's David Sentendrey was one of our very first crews on the scene today, and he was at that press conference about an hour ago. David, what's the latest tonight?
Hey, Casey and Heather, I can tell you we are outside Adamson High School. This is really just a stone's throw away from the apartment complex that exploded, and this is the reunification/assistance center for people in the neighborhood. It's an area for first responders to gather and just get their bearings situated while they try to work on just responding to this massive explosion. We've seen people coming in here throughout the day, a lot of people who live in the area who are unable to get to their homes, and we've even seen some people who live in the complex that exploded who don't know what to do. This is where they're just sitting down to process what just happened, the loss of belongings, pets, possibly neighbors, etc. Just a whole lot of emotion, as you can obviously tell from people who are out here just wondering what to do next. We spoke with one gentleman who was wearing just his pants and a bath towel around his top because he was playing a video game with his brother, and then he heard the explosion, and you hear that fight or flight response, and they took flight. They left their apartment just across the street from where that explosion happened, and they came over here just to get situated and regroup with his parents. One of multiple stories we've heard out here just outside Adamson High School. There's one woman I spoke to just a little bit ago who also lives outside of the apartment complex, and she says she noticed those construction crews working today, and she just happened to go to a friend's house who again lives in this neighborhood, and they were right by this apartment complex that exploded. And beforehand, she was inside with her kids, and she describes those moments of when everything just burst, what she felt, what she saw, and especially what sticks out to her is who she saw in the aftermath. Take a listen.
We close the doors, we stay there sitting down. Not 5 minutes have passed when the whole apartment is shaked. It's shaked in a weird, scary way. All the kids got scared, we got scared. When I walk outside, the first thing I see is the whole thing was nothing. And I run back in and I tell my friend, it exploded. My flashbacks are never gonna forget what I saw. This little girl came out of under all the stuff that had fallen on top of her. She came out like a movie. She was wearing a ponytail, curly hair, like 9, 10 years old with a purple shirt. And I screamed to her from the top of my lungs, don't move. And this man runs, crosses the street and grabs the little girl and he's carrying her. And like out of a movie again, he puts her in the grass, and when he puts her to safety, all you see is this big cloud of fire. All I want to know at this point, I want to see that little girl. I want to give her a hug, and I want to see her that she's fine. And it's sad because the people that live there lost their home. And it's sad if we lost people, but I do want to see that little girl. I want to see her because I'm never going to forget what I saw.
Again, we know officials confirmed to us during that news conference that 3 people are dead. We don't know if they expect to uncover any more potential bodies underneath this rubble. They are using different machinery to sort through, and I was told through a Dallas Fire Rescue spokesperson that right now about 35 to 40% of the rubble has been searched via hand. So there's still plenty more rubble to sort through with hands and just on the ground. We've seen dogs who are sniffing around the area, seeing if they can detect anything. But again, 3 bodies that were recovered there, multiple others who were transported to hospitals, but the people who were sent to hospitals appear that they're going to survive from everything that happened. But I know we're going to talk about multiple interactions we've had with people who came up to us here at this reunification center. At 9:30, I'm going to have more from a woman who just moved into this apartment complex, and thankfully she was not home when this happened, but she recounts driving home, seeing the smoke, not realizing until she got closer to it that it was actually her apartment building. I know Amelia Jones will have more information here in just a minute, but for now I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
So many people are in shock, rightfully so, and they are going to be working well into the night as this search and recovery mission continues. Fox 4's David Sentendrey, thanks so much. We'll see you a little bit later in the hour.
And as we've seen, a lot of people witness the resulting fire after the explosion. They sent us these videos. Some residents were not at home at the time of the explosion. They're now mourning, of course, the loss of life, the loss of pets, their beloved family heirlooms. Fox 4's Amelia Jones has been speaking to residents and witnesses all evening. Amelia.
Heather, Casey, it's even more difficult now to think about as the construction equipment going on behind me, and crews are essentially demolishing what was left of the Clyde apartments after the explosion. I'll step out of the way here so my photographer Mel can give you at home a little closer look here, and I apologize that it is loud. You have Dallas police taping off the area. They are securing the area. We still have Dallas Fire Rescue crews here as well. As I've watched kind of some of the construction here, I mean, you've seen personal items, clothes, you've seen bathtubs, sinks, shoes. I mean, these were people's everyday items, their homes, everything inside of them, and it is really hard to watch, also knowing that several people lost their lives, and the woman I spoke to lost her pets. I want to show you video, though, of what it was like several hours ago. We got out here to the scene scene just before 4 p.m. and we did see firefighters working to put out some stubborn hot spots. We also saw firefighters walking with what's called a pike pole. It's a tool that has other items on top of it, so that way firefighters can tediously and meticulously move through debris as they are doing this search and recovery mission. The woman I spoke to, she lived on the second floor of the Clyde apartments. She was getting home from work, and as she was walking to her apartment, she saw the fire trucks, heard the sirens, and she told me she had a gut feeling that it was their home. Her husband was also running errands. She lost everything, and the couple also lost their 5 pets, 2 dogs and 3 cats.
Heartbroken, disbelief, hurt, worry, all that. I feel like this is a dream. I feel physically sick. Yeah, I thought I was gonna go home to just relax and watch TV. I actually watch you guys, but in here I'm just looking at this. It looks like a war zone.
That woman is staying with her daughter tonight, and they're working to get a fundraiser together because her and her husband essentially now have to start all over. I did connect with the Red Cross. They said they are helping people who have been displaced and, again, are looking for donation items. So many people have come up, and we see this a lot when we cover immense tragedies like this, especially in tight-knit communities like Oak Cliff. People want to know, how can I help? Well, I spoke to several people up at the Adamson High School, and there are multiple groups within the city of Dallas, also the community of Oak Cliff, that are working together on a list of charitable organizations that are going to take donation items specific to the needs of the people that were impacted at the Clyde apartments. And once we get that list, we will be sure to share it with you on air and online. For now, Heather, Casey, back to you.
And there will be so many people who will be willing to help and donate and give what they can. Amelia, thank you.
So 2 of the people still missing tonight, a mother and a young son.
Their daughter made it out of the apartment building after the explosion. Our cameras, in fact, were rolling when the 10-year-old girl reunited with her aunt and her grandmother, the little girl making it out of her home without any shoes on. Her family tells us her mother, Marisol Perez, and her 18-month-old brother, Eric, did not make it out of the building. The little girl said that they were all in that apartment together when the explosion happened. This family photo has been circulating online.
Hysterical because nobody knows where they're at. And my mom literally just called me, and I just came over here. She couldn't really tell me a lot.
How thankful are you to see your niece?
Well, I'm very thankful. I'm thankful she's a little traumatized right now, but she just hopes that her mom and her brother are okay.
Dallas Fire Rescue said this evening that a child was among the dead, but officials did not have further information as to whether that child is the 18-month-old who is missing.
So the Dallas County Democratic Party says one of its precinct chairs is among the missing. The party posted on social media that Sylvia Collins lived in the apartment building. It said she is a tireless advocate for the community, and they are asking for prayers for Sylvia and her family tonight.
Be sure to stay with Fox 4 News for the very latest on this developing story. Coming up later in this newscast, we're going to hear more from residents affected by the explosion. We'll also have the very latest online, fox4news.com.